the starting center for BYU's national championship team. Trevor Matich, ESPN college football analyst, welcome back home.
Great to be here, and it always feels like home.
What did you think of the coach?
Coach is fantastic. I've got to say this, you can tell talking to a coach for 30 seconds if you'd play for him or not. And I tell you, talking to Coach Sataki, I would play for him tomorrow if you'd have me. I'm trying to get a year of eligibility back.
You might take him up on it.
You might take him up.
Now, I can only play one play at a time, Coach. You got to pick the play.
One play
and I got to sit out a couple of series.
I got the play in mind already.
Yeah, okay, good.
You are here to break down this schedule, the best home schedule in school history. And let's start with the home opener, August 29th. Cougars report to fall camp on July 30th, hit the field July 31st, begin preparations for the season opener against Utah on the 29th. That game's at 10:15 Eastern Time, 8:15 Mountain, part of an ESPN doubleheader. Cougars took a 27-7 lead into the fourth quarter last year in Salt Lake before things fell apart. Trevor, what did they learn in that game that'll help them in the rematch?
They learned that they can beat Utah. I mean, they were pushing Utah around early in that game. Then they had some injuries, and Utah exploited them. And I give Utah credit. They came back and won the game. But it's not like the BYU players thought that they were overmatched. I think they come into this game with a lot of confidence. And the thing about Utah is that on defense in the middle, not on the line so much. Kyle Whittingham believes that they have 3 NFL guys on the D-line. But certainly they've got new linebackers. They've got some new guys at safety. And I think there'll be some places that BYU will be able to attack. And so this, to me, shapes up as a very interesting game on the first game of the year.
See, that's what I thought you were going to say when I asked you that question earlier. Thank you, Trevor.
Well, I didn't talk to Coach about this, so this is coming from me, not from Coach.
I was in game mode, sorry. No, but it's going to be an exciting game. Like I said, there's a lot of expectations on their side. I know that they're looking for a great year, and we're looking for one as well. So we'll see who wins that game.
Yeah, please beat them. Please beat them.
You're the first person that said that to me.
Please beat them. I know it's probably a new concept. I respect them. I respect Kyle Whittingham. We were teammates here at BYU. But on the field during rivalry week, I hate them. In a football sort of way.
In a football sort of way.
And so it would be nice for BYU to finally get over that hump.
9 days later, another primetime ESPN matchup, this one at Tennessee on Saturday, September 7th, 7 Eastern, 5 Mountain. Over 106,000 fans will be there to watch the first meeting between the Cougars and Vols. Tennessee comes to Provo in 2023. How about the matchup with the Volunteers?
This is a really interesting matchup because Tennessee is improving. They've got a second-year head coach. Their offensive coordinator just came over from Georgia. Jim Chaney, that's the coordinator. His philosophy is to force the ball down your throat until you prove you can stop it. So really we have a strength-on-strength setting up from the standpoint of BYU's run defense against Tennessee's run offense. But Tennessee is going to have a lot of youth on that offensive line. A lot of talent. I mean, both tackles will probably be true freshmen. Both of them are 5-star recruits, right, but they're still true freshmen playing early in the season. And so Tennessee's got a lot of talent. Last year, they beat 2 ranked SEC opponents. So this will be a tough out for BYU.
This will be a fun venue to play, and it's spectacular just to take in as a fan. Also evidence of this ESPN relationship that brought this game together.
Yeah, and it's another opportunity to be in a tradition place like Tennessee, and we had a fan fest out there a couple months ago. Yeah, and it was really cool to see the support that we have there. We have fans everywhere, and it's nice that we're going to be in the South and to be able to play an SEC team like Tennessee, and we'll see what happens.
It's the only place where orange is still in style.
Yeah, nobody gets shot there in deer hunting.
I think some people in Clemson, South Carolina.
Except for that. There's that place, too. All right, week 3, the hits keep coming. BYU hosts USC on ABC at 3:30 Eastern, 1:30 Mountain. First time the Trojans have played in Provo since Reggie Bush was running around back in 2004. Trevor, the Trojans coming in.
Trojans coming in with a new style. Their new offensive coordinator is Graham Harrell. He comes from the Texas Tech, Mike Leach, air raid tree. And one thing that USC has always had, even in years where they've struggled overall, is lots of skill guys that are fast, that can run around. And I think USC will come in, spread the field, go up-tempo, and they'll look a lot like those Texas Tech teams. And so BYU, I think the small guys behind that defensive front will have their work cut out for them chasing those Trojans around the field.
This will be the first of many times we're going to see USC, and you go to L.A. too with your team in the coming years, Coach. I know you love this matchup.
Yeah, I mean, you look at SC, they probably have the best talent out in the West, and I think it's going to be another fun game. I'm looking at all these schedules, and it's one thing that got me really excited about getting the job is, and I think a lot of credit has to go to Tom Homo and the administration, what they've done putting the schedule together to have these 3 teams coming to Provo, and also to see the future schedules that we have. And a lot of people say they're tough, but I think it's exciting. As a player, Trevor and I would have loved to play these type of games, and I think it's going to really build our team and our program up.
A week later, speaking of the Big Three, Washington comes to town on September 21st. Game time and TV details have yet to be announced, most likely ABC or ESPN. Huskies will have to replace their all-time leading passer and rusher this season. They come to Provo for the first time since 2010 when BYU beat them 23-17. How about the Huskies, Trevor?
Well, this is another strength on strength because BYU and Washington return experienced and talented offensive lines. Washington will have probably the first or second best offensive line in the Pac-12, one of the best in the country. And with Jacob Eason at quarterback, it's fascinating what he might be able to do because he was a 5-star recruit, left the Northwest to go to Georgia, lost his job to Jake Fromm when he got hurt, transferred back to Washington. And the thing is, you talk about the all-time leading passer in Jake Browning. What Jacob Eason brings to the table is all the intangibles that Browning had, but a bigger body and a stronger arm. And if he can put that together, Washington's offense will be really tough to stop.
That'll be a fun one in Provo. You saw the Huskies last year. They'll be a little bit of a different team, as Trevor mentioned.
Yeah, a lot of things that we learned from last year's game and hoping to have a better result, much like we did against Wisconsin 2017 and 2018.
See, that's the thing, though. Wisconsin had a really good defense last year, and you guys ran the ball on them. Washington only has 2 defensive starters coming back. They have a lot of young talent to replace those departed guys. But you've got a BYU team now that's going to be better, I think, rushing the ball. I think it'll be a different game in the trenches than it has been.
Let's look at the next 4 games. They pose some challenges, too, with road trips to Toledo and South Florida, home game against Boise State, and then a short road trip up to Utah State. Trevor?
Yeah, Utah State's offense will be a work in progress. You really got to watch out for the defense, though. Last year, they led the nation in takeaways, generating turnovers, and they scored 6 defensive touchdowns. So really, I think in that game, BYU's first job on offense especially is protect the football, don't help them, because that's an opportunistic team.
At Toledo, South Florida, those will be challenging road games, and then Boise State here in town. The last 4 games of the regular season include Liberty, Idaho State, and Provo. Bengals and Cougars will play on BYUtv. Another trip back east to play UMass, and then over to the West Coast to face an old Mountain West foe, San Diego State, in the same stadium, Trevor, where you won your national championship ring.
That is nostalgia. I love playing against San Diego State. They've got a great tradition down there as well. I'm glad BYU is getting a chance to play them again. And this will be another strength on strength because what they love to do is pound the ball. Now, they'll go up-tempo spread to take advantage of the quarterback room that they've got this year, but they'll still be handing off to the running back, running downhill. And if BYU's defense can stay healthy, by the time they get to the end of the season, it'll be a really fun matchup.
Depth is going to be a key, as you've mentioned, every year, as BYU's been an independent and played a very aggressive schedule early on. It's starting to get better, a little more competitive throughout, but I think you feel comfortable about your depth situation this year, perhaps more than any year.
Well, I just feel really pleased with the leadership and on the team, and then also with our coaches. I think Elisa Tuyaki and Ed Lamb done an amazing job in the defense with Preston and Gennaro there, and then I've been really pleased with what I've seen from Jeff Grimes and the offensive staff, and so and then allowing the players to lead the others, and I think we had some really tough lessons in depth last year. Utah is one game that comes to mind, and the guys that struggled in those games, if you look at spring ball, probably were the MVPs of spring. So I think they've learned their lesson, and I think they're excited to show that they can play.
Let's put up the roadmap to paradise. The Cougars will need at least 6 wins to play in the Hawaii Bowl on Christmas Eve on ESPN. So as you look at that slate, Coach, big games up front, some key ones in the middle, a San Diego State game to finish out. Overall, what do you think?
I love the schedule. Obviously, we're focused on the first one. That's the most important. And then the next one will be just as important, and you go down all 12 of them and earn the right to play more, and that's what we're trying to do.
Mike, one of the reasons that ESPN loves their relationship with BYU is because when they put together schedules like this, they know that BYU at any time has a chance to rise up and shock the college football world. Wisconsin was supposed to steamroll BYU last year, according to the national media,
Right.
but BYU won. I go back to the Oklahoma game a few years ago, where the clean-cut, church-going, return missionaries of BYU got into an alley fight with the mighty Oklahoma Sooners, and they beat them. They beat them in the physical, hard-nosed football game. And the whole nation saw it, and ESPN saw it. And I think the schedules like that are challenging, but they help recruiting. And I think from a standpoint of the national fan base, really international fan base, they have a chance to see BYU's helmet up against some of the most storied helmets in college football history and compete with those guys on their own level. I think it's a lot of fun.
Trevor, thank you. We'll see you again this afternoon.